So, get this. The Federal Reserve just cut rates for the first time in 2025. And while Wall Street is cheering, your wallet might not. Because rate cuts don't just move markets, they change the cost of everything from your mortgage to your groceries. Today, I'm going to demonstrate how this monetary pivot will impact you, your investments, and your financial future. So, let's take a close look at what just happened. On September 17th, the Fed cut rates for the first time this year. And if that wasn't enough, they already project more cuts in October and December. Now, this isn't new. We saw the same thing after the 2008 global financial crisis and again during the pandemic. Slash rates, print money, stabilize the system. But every easy money period eventually came with a price, spiking inflation, and then aggressive rate hikes to put the fire out. It's kind of like eating junk food. Feels great at first, but eventually your belt disagrees. All right, so let's take a look at how rate cuts impact the markets. Well, what does history tell us? 1 month after a rate cut, stocks barely budge, historically only up about 0.1% on average. 3 months later, over 3/4 of the time, markets are higher, averaging 3 to 4%. 1 year later, every single time, without fail, markets have been up, averaging nearly 12 to 15%. So, should you panic sell? Not unless you enjoy losing money. The market's too big to fail. If stocks drop 20% or more, the Fed has a playbook: print trillions, flood liquidity, force a recovery. It's all basically a cycle where we can just keep bailing ourselves out of our own poor decisions. Sad, but true. Now let me address and, dispel a very common misnomer. The stock market is not the economy. Remember 2020, 14% unemployment, businesses closing, and the S&P 500 gained over 17%. That disconnect is why rate cuts are like rocket fuel for stocks, even while average working Americans are struggling to get by. But here's the warning. Don't get over-leveraged. If the market takes a large temporary tumble, your own invested dollars could begin to run into the red, eroding your equity. If you're invested with a broker, this could prompt them to encourage you to deposit even more of your own money on the downturn just to keep your account from defaulting on its basic maintenance fee agreement. This is not where you want to be. Now, let's talk about what goes up when the dollar goes down. Your safe haven. So, rate cuts weaken the dollar, and the dollar just had its worst first half of a year in over 50 years. That's a huge boost for gold, silver, and yes, even Bitcoin. Gold, in particular, increases in value during devaluation. If the Fed prints trillions more dollars, it's not that gold is worth more, it's that your dollar buys less of it. Same goes for food, electricity, and housing. So, congratulations. Your paycheck didn't shrink, but somehow it buys fewer eggs. So, what's the strategy here? Stay invested. Sitting on the sidelines while the Fed pumps the market is a fast track to the bottom and lots of regret. First, keep a cash cushion. Always have 3 to 6 months of expenses for emergencies. Second, don't hoard cash. Inflation eats idle money alive every day of the week. What you don't need to get by from month to month will decrease in value at an accelerated rate, so you need to be invested. Third, buy the dip. The markets will take deep dives before ultimately rebounding, but don't stress out about it. These are just market corrections, and they can be expected. Corrections are opportunities, not funerals. Okay? Oh, and smash that like button before inflation makes following me cost $19.99 a month. Okay, so maybe that was a bit dramatic, but you get my drift. All right, so let's bring it all back. I said the Fed's rate cuts may not be good for your wallet, and here's why. They make debt cheaper short-term, but risk higher inflation. They weaken the dollar, they pump gold and stocks, and they force you to rethink how you save and invest. Got it? Good. Has this breakdown been helpful? Let me know in the comments and suggest what other money and security topics you'd like me to cover. All right, folks, until next Money Monday, thank you so much for watching. I've been Kevin with MoneyTreeandMe, providing better security and ensuring better lives. Make it a great day.